All right, welcome back to Uncharted Pressure. I am your host, Jay Marlowe, and today I am not just thrilled, I am genuinely honored to bring on someone who has been a huge part of my personal journey. With over 168,000 followers across TikTok and Instagram, he has transformed the bodies and the minds of countless individuals, including mine. Please welcome to the show the most jacked physical therapist in Minnesota, Josh Daines. Josh, welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me again under a new name.
Take
Hmm,
us back to when it all started. How did this all become?
for sure. Well, I can rewind all the way back first and then I'll fast forward a little bit. So 2016, I was in indoor track. I was a big soccer basketball guy growing up. Those were my main two sports. Indoor track was simply because some friends told me I should do it to stay in shape in the off season. So I did. And we were getting ready for states. I was actually a pretty good sprinter. We were practicing in the hallways, just warming up, doing these plyo skips. So kind of skips for height, skips for distance. And I was foolish enough to think that it would be silly if I could just get up as high as I can, see if I could skim my head on the exit door frame sign. And I did, but I skimmed more than my head. I skimmed my entire face, smack, fell down, broke my leg. And after a few months of healing up, started some physical therapy for the first time ever, which will segue nicely into my career. But really that got me into the gym besides just lifting for weight class. And it was really, really cool to see my progress as I went from being someone struggling to walk to the bathroom to someone who was able to lift weights, get back to sprinting, get back to sport. And just the renewal that I felt and the vigor that my physical therapist instilled in me like really pushed me to then eventually help others. It didn't happen right away. I didn't know that was the path at the time, but I really attribute a lot of my starting point to that. That's what got me in the gym. That's what got me excited about lifting beyond just for sport. Got me excited about lifting to build up my body, to build up my strength. Fast forward through a few years of college, found myself in the gym every day. I worked there at the front desk, really just in that environment, went into PT school again, furthering my gym journey. And eventually, by the end of my fifth year of physical therapy, kind of going into my sixth year when I was finishing up my last clinical rotations before I was actually going to graduate, I started posting online. Decided I had seen a friend do it. I was like, hey, I've had this gym journey for so far. I think a lot of it for me, I had toyed with the idea for a bit ever since 2020 when I saw a lot of people posting online fitness content. I just, even 4 years into my journey, I didn't feel like I had enough value to show. I didn't feel like the physique was there yet. I felt like I had to earn it, so to speak. Like I don't know. But eventually I grew the confidence. I grew enough to have some friends start recording me in the gym, record some lifts, record some sets. And from October to like February, I probably had like 600 views. I got next to nothing. But eventually something started to click, had a couple videos go viral. That summer had someone reach out to me about online fitness coaching. I was like, cool, I've been a personal trainer in person before. That sounds really awesome. Like, what does it entail? They're like, well, it's a couple grand if you want to sign up and we'll build everything for you. I was like, wow, okay, this is real. This is a commitment. This is more than just offering some plans with PDFs as I had done before. And I decided just to take the leap and see if it was worth my effort. And 2 years later, this is where we're at. Yeah, I've been in the fitness space personally myself for over 9 years, but coaching for the last two.
I want to touch on something that you did mention with the online space is so saturated, right? With
Mm-hmm.
personal development, with physical fitness. There are tons of coaches, tons of gurus giving their different ideas on what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing,
For
different
sure.
different techniques, routines, things like that. So when somebody finally decides to take their fitness seriously, there's this wave of pressure that hits them, right? So how do you guide someone on picking the right program, picking the right coach?
I think to be as blunt as possible, like no matter what you pick, it's not going to be the perfect fit. You just need to start. I love to draw on my journey as an example. Like I was working out in the physical therapy rehab gym for months. Like I would go there during my summer breaks. It was like very limited weights. You don't have to have the perfect gym and the trainer and everything regimented just to begin. I think once you begin, you kind of start to realize what things really factor in more than you thought. And then that becomes important. And I think it's also important too, if you kind of start with this pinnacle of like you got everything going with the perfect gym set up, everything, then there's almost nothing to grow into and get excited about. Because every year as I got to go to like a new gym and kind of step up like the fitness activewear that I wore, step up like the nutrition, it was like, whoa, this is something, it's unlocking a new level. I think a lot of people have this analysis paralysis of how do I begin? I got to have the exact regimen. I need to know everything I'm doing, exactly where I'm going to be from like here to the next year. And then they just end up not starting because no one's going to really give them that perfect solution that has everything nailed down to 100% guarantee. I think you just kind of have to dive in head first, knowing that it won't be perfect, but obviously you can still correct for some things to make it better than if you were to go in completely blind.
Do you feel that people hold their physical fitness and their mental fitness in two different buckets?
I think so. I think sometimes people equate having one in check to get the other in check. Like I can't be mentally strong if I'm not physically strong, or vice versa. I think socially there's definitely a bit more of a stigma with the mental fitness and the mental health versus just physical fitness. I think it's not all that abnormal if someone's like, yeah, I'm going to take some time out of my day to go work on my physical fitness and go to the gym or go for a run. But if you're like, hey, like I'm just sorry, I can't come out tonight, I'm working on my mental health, it's like, okay. But if you're like, oh, I'm going to the gym at 5 a.m., no one really bats an eye. So I think there is definitely a discrepancy there. But I think certainly the former is definitely becoming more normalized when it comes to the mental health.
Social media could be so motivating, right? But it could also make people feel like they're constantly behind. How do you help your clients move away from comparing themselves from what they see online?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it truly is that everyone is in a different chapter of a different book. Everyone's story is going to be unique. The people that you see on social media, we're told time and time again that it's somebody's highlight reel, but it's really important to remember that, because even when your own profile, you can skim across it and it's like, wow, all of these great pictures and moments, but that encapsulates such a long span, and you don't really see the day to day of what it looks like. And so I think it's cool when coaches and influencers share a little bit more of like day to day really isn't all that different. A lot of what it is just that consistency. So I always remind clients and friends to compare your journey to your journey. It's okay. Here you are today versus a year ago, and maybe it's not where you thought you were going to be or where you wanted to be, but it's still where you are compared to somebody else, but it's leaps and bounds from where you were last year. And I think a lot of people get caught up in also comparing day to day and week to week. And that can be really daunting because it doesn't feel like much is changing over the course of a day or a week. But you zoom out 3 months, 6 months, and it's like, whoa, okay, that really is a bit more than I thought. And so you start to see yourself in these pictures and it's like, oh, like really, I look like that. When you see yourself every day, or even your spouse sees yourself every day, you don't really notice all that much of a difference. But you zoom out, we just got our wedding pictures back. This is why I say this 3 months to the day, pretty much, for the wedding photos. And it's like, wow, like that, we really look like that. Like we really put in the work to get there that day, but you don't feel them that day because you look the same as you pretty much did yesterday and the day before. And you get caught up in this comparison when you examine someone else's like perfect image compared to your own image is perfect. You're just comparing it to the image yesterday, which is no different.
How do you feel fitness fits into your relationship and how you show up to your marriage every day?
For sure. I mean, it's very true in any marriage, in any partnership. Each individual needs to be a whole. You can't be relying on that other person to kind of complete you and fill you. Like, yes, they're going to be the missing parts of you never knew you needed, but you can't rely on them to completely fill yourself up. And I think for me and a lot of people, fitness is really that way to kind of fill yourself up, build up your own confidence and your fortitude. And then bringing that into a relationship is like, we're staying healthy for each other. We want the best for each other. We want to be there to be able to play with the kids and the grandkids and be able to support a family physically. There's a lot of housework that I'm learning to realize that needs to be done. And I don't want to be able to say I can't do XYZ because of my health, pawn it off on an excuse. But like, I don't want to say when we're on our honeymoon, like, sorry, I don't know if I can do this hike to this beautiful location because I'm worried about my knees or my back, or like, I just don't feel up to it. And so I think for us, it's been such a journey. And it's also a place where you can really find a lot of passion together, like just get to see each other work to become the best version of each other. Like that's ultimately what marriage is, right? You're helping your partner to become the best version of themselves and vice versa. And I think fitness can be integral to that because the discipline within the gym carries over to the discipline in the kitchen, carries over to the discipline with your daily routine, carries over to discipline into your marriage where you're having these good communication. All areas are kind of firing on all cylinders versus lack in one area where you're kind of letting things go and not really super concerned can bleed over into other areas. And I think it can impact a relationship usually for the worst if it's not something that's at the joint. And obviously the gym is just one of many outlets. There's all kinds of activities, running, sports in general, outdoor activities. It doesn't need to be physical activities such as lifting, but I think some sort of fitness regime is always integral.
You speak to the person who thinks, it's too late for me. Speak directly to them. And what do you want them to know?
I mean, I don't think it's ever too late. I think the only time it's too late is when you're being buried in the grave, even if you're someone who's very advanced in age and unable to do a lot of things. I think you still can do something because every day you wait is another day later. Yes, you may have, the best day to plant a tree would have been 30 years ago if you wanted a nice big tree in your backyard, but the next best day is today. Like you can't wait any longer in the same sense that it feels like, oh, it's not worth my time because it's too late, so to speak. Is the same exact logic was why you should start now. Because if you don't start now, you're probably going to have that same conversation next year or 10 years down the line where it's like, wow, I wish I had started 10 years ago, even though you had already felt like it was too late to start because you'd waited 10 years in that same sense. So I think even though it feels too late, even though your journey may look different than if you had started when you were in your teens or in your 20s, starting now is still the best time to start because it's only going to get harder the longer you wait.
What if I'm just feeling so overwhelmed? I'm in the grocery store, I'm walking up and down, and I'm just like, do I need this
Yeah.
kiwi? Do I need this protein bar? Like, I'm
Yeah.
overwhelmed. How do
Yeah.
I calm my brain
Sure.
to get a decent path going?
I mean, hopefully you eat every day already, right? And
Right.
hopefully for the most part you wake up, you have some kind of routine. And the way I always see it is like no matter what we're doing a lot of the same stuff every day. Like yes, you're already eating and maybe you're not eating the perfect things, but what if we just look at what you're already doing and just make it a little bit better? And over time you can shift it to like the perfect ideal image. I think a lot of people portray on social media where it's like eating off the cutting boards only, eating the carnivore, like whatever it is, like the silly stuff like that. But
Right.
it's like you don't need to jump down that rabbit hole and go nail it 100%. Just examine what you've already been doing because you're already getting by. Unless you're extremely underweight, you're probably eating okay. And for most of us, it's just these small little accumulations of big gatherings where there's some different food options and maybe some unhealthier options that are decisions that are made, small little decisions every day that add up over time. So it's no one day, no one grocery trip that's going to completely undo all of that. It's just kind of taking a step back and like, hey, I'm already doing pretty great. I've been focusing on, I know protein is important. I've taken that step. But how can I take it a little bit further? How can I examine things? And I think a lot of times having that forethought to even consider and examine, like that is step number one. You just have to start there instead of feeling like all this pressure to hit it out of the park perfectly the first time, get all the right ingredients. Just do what you're already doing and just try and do a little bit better than you did yesterday or the week before.
So it doesn't need to be this immediate thing. I don't need to throw out all the alcohol, get mouth tape, only eat lettuce and just do all of that stuff. It could be a gradual process.
100%. I mean, in the same way, like Rome wasn't built in a day and nobody gained 30 pounds since college just last week alone. It's taken the
Mhm.
5-10 years of just slow, gradual habit and lifestyle change and lifestyle creep for that to happen. So it's unrealistic to expect that by starting tomorrow and completely radically changing everything, it'll be fixed in a month. So just do the small little things that you feel like you can sustain and find the joy in. And all of a sudden, that one little habit leads to the next one. Like I feel like the gym is the easiest place to start because once you start going to exercise and putting your body through sweat and a little bit of soreness and uncomfortable, it's like you're not going to go home and be like, all right, that was great. Now it's time to eat a whole pizza or a pint of ice cream in the freezer. It's like, I should probably have something healthy. Okay, what does that look like? Well, right now I've got some like frozen meals. Okay, start there and just have that mindset shift. And instead of feeling like you have to completely clear the fridge and clear the counters, just work with what you got. And over time, shift those habits to be more fruitful habits that you probably should have been doing.
What sets you apart from the thousands of other coaches that we see online?
That's a question I ask myself a lot. Yeah, I mean, I think everyone has a unique perspective, a unique experience and background to bring. And I think for me, I think obviously physical therapy is one of the lenses. I think for me, growing up in the background of having two moms and going to a smaller school, a smaller state, I think a lot of that flair is kind of what I bring versus like this big town Miami gym beach vibe guy. Like I think it's just a different perspective, different taste. And I think in that the coaching that I deliver, much like the physical therapy that I practice on a daily basis, like I really enjoy the one-on-one aspect and getting to know beyond just the gym, beyond just the nutrition. Like what does life look like at scale on a week-to-week basis? Why have you been unable to go to the gym or why have you been unable to focus on this previously? Like what barriers beyond just like, oh, I'm busy at work and I have a family and whatever it is. There's always mental blocks and mind barriers that are just kind of set there, whether that's from childhood or from things other people have said to you. And I think that's really what I like to get into is the why behind someone wants to exercise. Like, okay,
Mm.
if you want to lose weight, sure, I can help you do that. You want to gain some muscle, sure. Like that's not the biggest question. It's like why? Why is that important to you? Why now? Why take that step? Why go out on a limb and do something that's hard? It's not easy. It's not easy. Like I think a lot of people like to play it up. It's like, oh, it's easy, go to the gym an hour every day, make meal prep every week, focus on it's like all these hours in the day. Like you're trying to already spend 8 hours at work, find time for friends, find time for it's like one more thing to add into the everything that's going on for your day. And so why make this hard choice? And I think that's one of the things that I really try and instill with every client that I work with. You have ChatGPT. I had YouTube. When I started, it was a lot of YouTube videos. It was a lot of Google searches. We all have had that access at our fingertips. I mean, maybe 30 years ago would have been a different story, but that can't be the reason for why someone's not started. Usually it's something deeper than that and needing somebody else to be there to kind of help guide along that
Mhm.
journey. Because if it was that simple to just even, for everyone to do their finances and financial planning, all right, go on ChatGPT, But it's like, no, you're probably going to have someone help you because number one, you don't want IRS penalties. We won't go there, but there's other reasons. Like it's having that human connection is what deepens a lot of it and actually makes us stick to it.
Being a modern day influencer, I know you don't like that word, but there's a level of responsibility that comes with that. How has that shifted your approach to everyday life?
Yeah. I mean, I think to begin with, I think it was a lot of like, here's what other people are doing. So I should probably do what they're doing because it worked for them. But I think it's since shifted to like, here's what I'm doing because I am who I am. And I just have to kind of share that side of my life and understand that when I was in college, sharing is going to look different. When I was graduating and starting a job, it's going to look different. Now that I'm married and own a home, like things are going to kind of evolve with me. And I think that's the fun thing about social media and posting is that ultimately we are unique individuals. And a lot of reasons people follow other people is because they enjoy what that person does, not necessarily that they're like creating this image of this perfect ideal. It's like more getting a glimpse into their life and like, okay, you're someone that's in shape, sure, but like, what does the other 23 hours of your day look like when you're not at the gym? And so I think understanding that things are going to shift as I shift and as I change in life, as I have kids, as I do whatever comes next, like it's just going to look different. Like I can't expect to like, okay, now I have kids now, but now social media, I'm going to keep it exactly the same as it was in 2021 or 2022, whenever I started posting, because life is different. There's pressure sometimes, I'm sure, to conform to the images that others are putting out there as well. But I think ultimately it's super cliche, but like there's no one better than you to be you. So I think it's important to remember that.
Absolutely. How do we pick one program? Do we just try and exercise, see if it works? Do we go paleo, do the 75 hard, or is there a happy medium?
I think you have to kind of meet yourself with where you're at and start with what you can start. If you're seeing the program that's this super complex CrossFit workout and you've never stepped foot in a gym to begin with, probably don't start there. But I think one of the quotes, I think we've talked about this before, but a quote I love from Hormozy is like, or I don't know if it's a quote, more of like a saying, but no matter what you do, like you can still get something out of an experience. Like even if you go into it and try the paleo diet, like knock yourself out. Ultimately, you're going to discover something about that. And whether it goes horribly wrong, you can still learn from that experience. Or if it goes really, really good, you could learn from that experience. So I think it's naive of us to believe that if whatever we pick to begin with is going to be perfect. It's much like the dating world. Like for most people, you don't pick your forever partner on your first try, but you learn from that. You learn what you like, you learn what you don't like. And so I think you have to approach any program, any nutrition that you do. Like it's unrealistic, even for you. I'm sure when we work together, you came to me, you had expectations and vice versa, but you can't expect that it's going to be this perfect fit. But you learn a lot of things, you take a lot of things away. And I think it's just as important to learn what you don't like to do as it is to learn what you like to do. And maybe there are some exercises you loved. Maybe there's some other ones like walking lunges that probably weren't so fun. It's like, hey, maybe those aren't for me, but I could do split squats on the live long day. So you just have to find and take away what you can, but you don't know what you like until you try.
How do you feel that fitness combats loneliness?
Ooh, that's good. I think it's interesting because for me, fitness was an escape from loneliness to begin with, for sure. Like in high school, whatnot, before I had met my wife, the gym was an escape for me. Like even it was just to get in there, get the music going and just focus on myself. And yes, you meet other people along that line, but I think you can either go into it looking for the community in the gym, or you can also use it as a way to like, even if I'm all I got, like I'm all I need. So I think there's kind of two sides to that coin, but I really do think it's cool. Like even today, this morning at church, I walk in and there's a friend of mine I haven't seen in a little while. Like one of the first things he's talking to me was like, dude, I finally got back to the gym last week. And it's just this point of mutual connection. Like he knows that no matter whatever is going on in his life, if he can talk about the gym with me, because I'll talk about the gym all day, it's just like once you see someone who else has taken that, whether it's running, like people love to geek out on running, but if it's lifting, it's just a connection point for people. It's, oh, you lift too? Like, no way. Like, let's go get a workout in together. It's much like, let's go grab a coffee together, but it's something where you can kind of get to see people and get to see their true selves as they're vulnerable. They get to work out and kind of push themselves. You see people sweat. You see people maybe cry, hopefully not, but you get to see them kind of at their lowest, but also at their strongest. So I think it definitely creates a community in that sense. You share a mutual love of something, and whether that person is wherever they're at in their journey, you can kind of both relate. It's like, hey, like I know why you're in here. We don't have to talk about it, but like we kind of share that. It's like, yeah, me too. And it's cool to see people kind of relate to that.
What do you say to the client who wants to stop? Maybe they're 3 months in and they're like, I don't have a six pack yet in 3 months. Yeah. What do you say to them to keep them going?
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I think everyone's is going to look a little bit different. Everyone's going to have a different ideal image of what they want to look like. And I think obviously movies and TV shows and social media will influence that. And we've seen over the times how body types and the ideal body type has certainly changed. But I think it's just kind of remembering the reasoning, like we talked about before, like why why do you want the six pack? Why do you want, and the experience I'll always share too is I did the bodybuilding show and I had the six pack. I had the look, so to speak, that some people are after, but mentally I was not there. It was not worth it. And I think, again, we hear people say that. We hear say, oh yeah, sure, maybe for you. But like for me, if I get that six pack, man, like it's gonna be, that's all I need. Like I'll be happy if I get that. But I think it's just kind of remembering that there is more to life than that. You can obviously starve yourself. You can work out all day, every day to get that look. But what kind of life is that? I think it's important to remember the balance of, if you really enjoy time with friends and family, going out to eat, like it's important to acknowledge that and acknowledge how fitness can fit on the inside of that. But putting so much pressure on a certain type and looking a certain way, I think there's always going to be that pressure. There's always going to be that difficulty to overcome. But I think remembering again that you're comparing your journey to your journey only, and wherever you're at now is different maybe than where you were 5 years ago or 10 years ago or even just last week. And just remembering that you can continue to make progress day by day, little bit by little bit, just because you're not there yet. I think sometimes having something that you're not there yet is a nice way to keep yourself going. Because what if you get there? Then what? Right now, I snap my fingers, you get the six pack, you get the exact look. Then what? Like you win the lottery, do you stop working? Okay. And that is great for a month. And then all of a sudden you blew the money or you blew the physique, like whatever it is. Like it's almost nice to have something to progress after and pursue versus just getting there instantly. Not to quote Hannah on you, but it's the climb. This is not always a destination, but it's the journey.
How do you feel technology is changing the fitness industry?
I hope for the better. I hope we don't see a wave of people just now like, oh, I don't need a coach. I don't need to hire somebody else to help me because I can do it myself. Because I think if we do, we'll start to see people realize that, okay, it's not as easy as I thought. But I think it's going to make more widespread information available. I think there's going to be a lot more people that know what to do and feel comfortable and confident in the gym. So first step in there, like at least have a plan. They at least know what they're doing. But ultimately, there's always going to be a need for trainers and coaches to help provide that form feedback, to help provide like exactly what maybe you should be feeling when you're doing it. Like it's one thing to see pictures on a page. It's one thing to relate a theory and kind of conjecture like, okay, this is what I should be doing in the gym, right? I'm going to go do my 3 sets of 10 of this exercise and this leg exercise, and I'll do this for 3 months and I'll be jacked and have a six pack. But it's like, in reality, what does it actually look like? How do you actually hold yourself to that? But I don't know. I hope it's going to be for the best. I hope it's going to inspire more people to feel like it's not so out of reach. And with the information, obviously, there's always going to be a wide berth of good information, misinformation about losing fat, just putting ice on your stomach and it vanishes away, like whatever it is. There's always going to be the fads and whatnot. But I think a lot more people are going to understand, okay, to lose weight equals calorie deficit, to build muscle equals lifting weights versus like, oh yeah, I'm just doing Pilates, doing some high reps for toning. I think there's going to be less misunderstandings and myths about fitness with technology. I think people are going to have a much better baseline. And hopefully with that, more people will be encouraged and inspired to take action themselves instead of feeling like, oh, must be nice for so-and-so because they just have the genetics or they started earlier than me. And instead of so many people feeling that they just can't ever get there, they're going to feel like, okay, I've seen in social media, to be frank, there's so many experiences and like journeys of someone who's lost 100 pounds, 200 pounds. That's inspiring. I think that is inspiring. Hopefully it will inspire others that if they did it, I can do it too. Versus this like, oh, they could only do it because of XYZ and I don't have access to that. It's like, okay, we have access now. We have the information. We know what to do. It just takes action.
To wrap up,
yeah,
to those who have the I'll start tomorrow mentality,
yeah,
what's one thing that you would say to them?
Why not today? Why not today? But no, if you're really set on tomorrow, maybe it's 11 p.m. on Sunday night and it's not feasible to start today. Start tomorrow and remember, I think, put it first thing in the day. Eat the frog, do the hard thing first, get it out of the way. And just be patient. Be patient with the process. Know that it's a process and it's not going to be linear. It's not going to be perfect, but you're going to learn a lot of things about yourself along the way and finding things that you genuinely enjoy along the way. You don't have to feel like you have to fit in this box of seeing somebody else who grew really big, strong legs because they were a biker or a runner, whatever it is. Like there's going to be a path that you're going to take that's going to work for you. And you just have to trust the process and show up every day, even if it's just a little bit.
Well said. Josh Dames, tell everyone where to find you.
Yes, sir. Well, it is still JWH Fit on Instagram, jwh.fit, and JoshWH77 on TikTok.
I appreciate this.
Thank you, Jay. It's a pleasure as always just getting to chat with you, but I appreciate you having me on here and can't wait to see where you take this in the future. Excited to be guest number 1.
Yes. Thank you, buddy.